Hello, girls. How are you all? It is quite long since we last met in the classroom, and we don't know actually when situation will be normal and we will be back to the classroom again. So we have to carry on our virtual classes anyway. In my previous two classes, I have discussed some rules of transformation of sentences. Today, I am going to discuss some rules of completing sentences. If you find it is time in the beginning of a sentence, and then after it if you find to, then use present form of the verb. Okay, as in the example you can see, it is time to start the work. It is time to leave the place. And in rule number 2, the same thing almost, it is time, but here you can also get it is high time. Okay, and after it is time and it is high time, you will find subject. Okay, and then after subject you have to use the past form of the verb. Remember, the meaning of the structure is present, but we are using past form of the verb when after the subject. Okay, so some differences you can see in rule 1 and in rule 2. The main difference is after to we use present form of the verb, and after it is time and it is high time, when we use subject, then we use past form of the verb. I hope that you have understood and you will remember the rules. Okay, if you find as if or as though in the middle of a sentence as a conjunction, and before that if you find present indefinite tense, then after as if or as though you have to use past indefinite tense, or in case of any be verb you have to use where. Okay, as in the example you can see, he tells the story as if he knew it. So you see, before as if there is tells, that means it is present indefinite tense. And then after as if we are using knew, this is past form of the verb. Okay, then again, second example, he runs first as though he were a madman. Okay, she donates money as if she were a millionaire. So remember this. This is very much important. Okay. Then almost same structure, as if or as though in the middle, but before as if and as though you will find past indefinite tense, and then after that, after as if or as though, you have to use past perfect tense. Okay. So remember, if you find past indefinite tense in the beginning and then as if or as though anyone, they are meaning almost same, and then after as if or as though you have to use past perfect tense. As in the example we can say, Riyadh told the story as if he had known it. So you see, before as if, told, told is past indefinite tense, okay, past form of the verb, and then after as if we have used he had known, that is past perfect tense. Again another example, she proceeded as though I had not spoken. So proceeded past indefinite tense, and then in the middle as if, I told you that as if and as though same meaning. Okay, and then after this I had not spoken, this is past perfect tense. So past indefinite, as if or as though, past perfect tense. Remember this thing. Okay, if you find if in the beginning of a sentence, and after it, if you find present indefinite tense, then remember that in the main clause, you will have to use future indefinite tense. So the structure will be like this: if plus present indefinite tense and then future indefinite tense. Okay. In the example, you can see, if it rains, we shall not go. So if it rains, this is present indefinite tense. We have used present indefinite tense after if. And then in the later part, that is the main clause of the sentence, we have used future indefinite tense. We shall not go. Again, if he wants, I shall help him. Okay, same. If you play in the rain, you will catch cold. Same. So remember, if plus present indefinite plus future indefinite. And then in rule number 6, same thing, starting with if. This is actually the conditional clause, okay, conditional clause structure. Then if you find if in the beginning, and then after if you find past indefinite tense, okay, then in the main clause you have to use would, could, or might, anyone, okay, and then the present form of the verb. Remember, after would, could, or might, we use present form of the verb, okay. So the example will be like this: if he came, I would go. Okay, if he came, you see, came, this is the past form of the verb, past indefinite tense we have used. And in the main clause, I would go, we have used would, and after would, we have used the present form of the verb. Okay, if he came, I would go. Another sentence, if they wanted, we would help him. If I had a typewriter, I would type the letters. If I were you, I would never do this. So one thing, remember that this structure is used actually to just express something improbable, impossible desire, improbable wish, something like that. When we want to express such kind of improbable or impossible desire or wish, then we use this structure. If plus past indefinite plus would, could, might, and present form of the verb. Okay. Then another structure of conditional clause, this is if plus past perfect plus would have or could have or might have, and then finally past participle form of the verb. This is called the third conditional clause. Okay, again I am telling you, after if you will find past perfect tense. Okay, remember, after if you will find past perfect tense, and then in the main clause you have to use would have or could have or might have, anyone, they almost have the same meaning, okay. And then when you are using anyone, would have or could have or might have, then after that you have to use past participle form of the verb. Remember, past participle form of the verb, okay. As in the example, if I had seen him, so you can see that we have used past perfect tense after if I had seen him, I could have told him the news. Okay, we have used could have, and after could have, what we have used? Told. Yes, this is the past participle form of the verb. Again, if they had started earlier, they could have got the train. Okay, same thing. If she had tried, she would have succeeded. So in this example, okay, these three examples actually, you can see that after if we have used past perfect tense, and then in the main clause we have used would have or could have, okay, or might have you can also use, and after that always we have to use past participle form of the verb, right? And then in rule number 8, you see that if any sentence starting with had, and then after that verb or past participle form, then we have to use would have or could have or might have, and then past participle form of the verb. Actually, this rule number 7 and this rule number 8, they are same. In rule number 7, the structure is starting with if, and in rule number 8, the structure is starting with had, but they have the same meaning. So sometimes you will remember that instead of if, this third conditional can also start with had. No problem. Okay, they will have the same meaning. Like this: had I seen him, I would have given him the news. You can also just say in this way: if I had seen him, I would have given him the news. The same meaning, okay, same structure. Second example: had he wanted, they would have helped him. So you can also write, if he had wanted, they would have helped him. Okay, same thing. Had I possessed a vast property, I would have established a college. Okay, so the same thing, you can also write the sentence in this way: if I had possessed a vast property, I would have established a college. So rule number 7 and rule number 8 basically same thing, same meaning, just rule number 7 is starting with if and rule number 8 is starting with had, remaining everything same. Okay. Now another structure you will get that when or after in the middle of a sentence, and before that you will find future indefinite tense. Okay, so in the beginning future indefinite tense, and then when or after in the middle. Okay, and after that you have to use present perfect tense. Remember, beginning future indefinite, in the middle when or after, and then present perfect tense. Okay, as in the example, you will go to sleep when you have taken your dinner. So you see, before when we have used future indefinite tense, you will go to sleep when you have taken your dinner. After when we have used present perfect tense. Okay, in the second example, you will return me the book after you have finished reading it. So you see, before after we have used future indefinite tense. You will return future indefinite tense, and then after and in the next clause we have used you have finished reading it. Okay, present perfect tense. Remember. Third example, he will swim after he has changed his dress. So you will just remember that if you see when or after in the middle, and before that, if you find future indefinite tense, then you have to understand that now I have to use present perfect tense. Okay, so remember this rule. Now, another rule, that is rule number 10. In rule number 10, you will find that sentence starting with would that or I wish, which actually means something improbable, okay, something impossible desired, improbable wish. Then you can use could or had or were, something like that. And remember, this structure is always used to express something improbable desire, okay, impossible wish, something like that, like this. I wish I were a king. Okay, this is impossible. I'm not a king, and this is not possible for me to be a king. Still I'm wishing this, and then I have used this auxiliary verb were, because we know that normally with I we don't use were. It can be was or it can be am, but this were actually means the improbability, the impossibility. Okay, then another sentence, would that he were alive today. Again, you know that the baby person is dead, so how can be he alive today? So we are saying this, would that he were alive today. This is improbable, this is impossible, and that's why we are using this were with he. Normally we don't use this. Okay, another example, I wish I had the magic lamp of Aladdin. Okay, the same thing. Then rule number 11, you will find would you mind in the beginning, and after would you mind, you will remember that you have to use ing form of the verb. Okay, after would you mind, you have to use ing form of the verb always. Okay, so the example will be like this, would you mind taking a cup of tea? Would you mind opening the door? This structure actually we use to request somebody to do something or to offer somebody, okay, to have something. So in this way we use this structure, would you mind, and we have to remember that after would you mind we use ing form of the verb. Okay, then in rule number 12, a very simple structure, that is to dot dot adjective, then again to, and after to we have to use present form of the verb. Okay, so in the example, the man is too old to work. Actually, the implied meaning is negative. It means that the man is so weak, that so old, sorry, that he cannot work. Okay, so whenever you will get TW2, and after two you have to use an adjective, and then you have to use to, TO2, and after that you have to use the present form of the verb. Okay, the man is too old to work, like this. Another example, you are too short to touch the roof. It means that you are so short that you cannot touch the roof. Implied meaning is negative. Okay? Then another example, he is too dishonest to speak the truth. It means that he is so dishonest that he cannot speak the truth. Okay, so after to we have to use the adjective form, and then to, and after to we have to use the present form of the verb. Okay, then rule number 13, a little difference. After to plus adjective, okay, everything is all right. Then we have to use for, and after for we have to use the personal object. Okay, then to plus present form of the verb. So why this difference? You can ask me. So why this difference? Because in rule number 2 we have learned to dot dot adjective dot dot to plus verb in the present form. Then in rule number 13, to dot dot adjective, then for plus personal object. So this for plus personal object, why it is coming? Yes, I'm telling you. You see the example first. The load is too heavy for me to carry. So what's the meaning? Its meaning is the load is so heavy that I cannot carry. You see that in the first part, the subject is the load, and in the second part, the subject is I. Okay, so two different subjects in two parts of the sentences, and that's why we have to use for, and after for we have to use the objective from, that is me. I was the subject in the second part, and we have to use the objective from me. In the second sentence, the problem was too hard for them to solve. What's the meaning? The meaning is the problem was so hard that they could not solve. Okay, you see, in the first part the subject is the problem. In the second part, the subject is they. So when we are using this structure, to dot dot to this structure, then we have to take for, and after for we have to take the objective form. Otherwise the meaning will not be all right. Okay. And the third example is, it is too interesting for us to overlook. It means that it is so interesting that we cannot overlook. So we have used for us, okay, that part, because of the different subject in the second part. Remember this. This is easy to remember. Okay. Now, another example, that is so dot dot adjective dot dot that dot dot first subject, then cannot or could not, then verb in the present form. Actually, we have just used the previous two structures, and that is the same thing in complex sentence. We use so dot dot that, this structure, that means rule number 14 structure, and rule number 12 and rule number 13, the structure we have used in the simple sentence, but the meaning is same. Okay, you see, the man was so ill that he could not move. Okay, so in the beginning, so we have used so, and after so we have used ill, that is an adjective, and then we have used that, and after that we have used could not. Why could not? Because in the first part there was, that is indicating past. Okay, so we have to use could not move. Okay, another example, many farmers are so poor that they cannot cultivate their land. So you see that in the beginning there is are, that is indicating present. Okay, so we have used cannot in the later part. This is very important because I have seen many students committing mistakes here. Okay, so in the beginning, which tense has been used, you have to just remember this. Okay, you have to see this very carefully, that yes, this is present tense. So in the second part we have to use cannot, or this is past tense, so we have to use second, in the second part we have to use could not, like this. Remember this thing. Okay, in the third example, the sailors' throats were so dry that they could not speak. So the sailors' throats were so dry, where it was past, and that's why in the second part we have used could not. So I hope that you have understood and you will remember. Okay. So dear students, another rule here for you, that is so that or in order that. Okay, the meaning is different than the previous so dot dot that. Now this is so that or in order that, and you will find this conjunction in the middle of a sentence. Okay, after that, after so that or in order that, you have to use the first subject, and then you have to use can or could or may or might, okay, according to the tense in the first word, and then you have to use the present form of the verb. Okay, like this example, the boy reads more so that he can make a good result. So you see, before so that, we have found that reads, that is in the present tense, in the present indefinite tense, and that's why after so that we have used can, or you can use also may. The boy reads more so that he can make a good result, or he may make a good result, like this. Okay, another example, we eat food in order that we can get strength. Okay, same thing. Before in order that we have used present indefinite tense it, and after in order that we have used can. Okay, can get strength. And remember one thing, that so that and in order that, they have almost the same meaning. Okay, third example, he worked hard so that he could earn more money. So before so that we have found worked. Okay, past indefinite tense. After so that you have used could. Okay, so after can or could, remember, after may or might, after can or could, we have to use present form of the verb. Remember this thing. Okay, then in rule number 16, if you find lest in the middle of a sentence, remember, lest in the middle of a sentence, after lest you have to use the first subject, and after subject you have to use should or might, anyone, they have the same meaning almost, should or might, and after should or might you have to use the present form of the verb. Okay, so lest in the middle, after lest subject, then should or might, anyone, and then present form of the verb. Okay, like this, he ran away lest he should be seen. Another example, read diligently lest you might fail in the examination. He worked fast lest he should fail to reach college in time. Okay, so every time we have used should or might, and after should or might we have used present form of the verb. Remember this thing. Okay, so dear students, so far we have discussed some rules of completing sentences, but these are not complete. We have to come back with another class because there are more rules actually. But the rules I have discussed so far, based on the rules, I have just prepared one exercise for you. So you will do at your home, and the same thing I have to tell you, that when our college will be open, we will be back to the classroom, then you will show me this. Okay, so dear girls, we all know that we are passing actually a very tough situation. None of us actually was prepared at all to face this type of situation. Still, we have to have our mental strength, and at the same time our indomitable willpower. We will never surrender, we will never lose. We will carry on our fight against corona. You do believe in your heart that at the end of the tunnel there is of course light. So all this disappointing and sorrowful time will be over, and we hope that soon we will be back to our normal life. Thank you very much.